temporary and pedestrian public space, which is going to support Piazza Castello during Expo 2015 here in Milan. And now we are live from Nevicata 14 Lab. That is a month of public talks about public spaces as common good and new strategies of urban welfare. And inside the program of Nevicata 14 Lab, we have also organized a call for students and young practitioners, and we who have been called to present their project and ideas. And today we have Yulya. Yulya. She has studied the product system design, and she's going to give us a different approach to public strategies. She's going to explain us her project, Eterea New Urban WiFi Landscape.
Hello, everyone. So this is the project of my thesis, which I did actually 1 year ago, and this is connected to this realm of the digital technologies. It might be a bit out of the date in the sense that things are developing in Milan quite fast, but still there are definitely some points which can still be applied to the present situation, and so I think we can still discuss the same things. So let's start discussing what is actually PCSD approach to the infrastructure, because if you imagine the normal world of the physical objects, you can pretty easily understand what is it such a notion of affordance of the object and how to use it, which is demonstrated perfectly in this research of Monari of the uncomfortable chair, that with the same system you can find different uses and ways to sit on the chair or use it. And the same way we can apply it to the also digital infrastructure, so finding how to reorganize it to make it much more usable for the people. So as the thesis was done in 2014, it started, well, it was the year when even the Fjord Design, which is one of the consultancies in surveys, strategic, and all the kinds of design, has included the infrastructures as one of the trends of the year. And so finally we could see that the fundamental role of infrastructures was accepted by the service designers, and they acknowledge the need to operate also on this level. So why are we talking about internet connected to the space, connected to the city space? Because we can see that all the kind of infrastructures and changes in it actually affected the society and the urban environment. But with the internet, the development was just super fast and rapid. It was an explosion, and it started to change the networks and the ways that we connect to people much more than any other things before. So now we can talk about this passage and changes in the public space, how we were in the beginning, that we were the local communities meeting together in some space around the house and seeing our friends. Then with the television, telephones, we started to stay more at home because we could connect to people away from the house and just connect with the world outside through the television, just staying and watching it. Then we came to the model of the glocalization, which is basically a network of the places. So now you can connect freely, not like in television where you just receive the news and information, but in glocalization mode, you are active participant of this network, but still you have to stay at home, let's say, because you have your computer to connect to people. And finally, now we're passing to the new model of the person-to-person network, because everyone has the mobile device, we're always connected, and we are spending, thanks to that, finally more time also outdoors. We don't have to stay at home to call people only. And so this thing affects the public spaces of the city, but to implement it, to make it usable, we need the better infrastructures. And so why we're talking about Wi-Fi, not about the 3G, as everyone thinks that 3G is quite useful, we all have it. But the real situation is that with 3G, we already reached the moment of the overload. Because now, if you think of the normal usages of internet, they are super content connected. So you make the videos, you make photos, you have to download things constantly. So 3G and Wi-Fi, they are not the competitor services, they're actually complementary ones. Because 3G gives you the possibility to move freely, but with Wi-Fi you get much more traffic. And lots of the also teleoperators, which are given the 3G service, they started already thinking of how to collaborate with Wi-Fi offers to offload their networks. So what about the Wi-Fi to be designed? Because you can ask, but Wi-Fi is just intangible, some waves in the air. But the point is that all these intangible waves in the air, the virtual, online, digital world, they all bring together the very real experience for the people, for the user. And we cannot say that, for example, there's the names of hertz and space, cyberspace, that some things that we haven't heard in the life about, but we have all experienced them. It's pretty easy when you go around some square with Wi-Fi and suddenly you lose the connection because the limits of the signal just stopped. So it's very important to bring together the tangible level of the infrastructure, like the things where we have to see it, also the cables to bring internet to the city. But together with the understanding this new environment of the radio waves and together with the online space of the services, and they all should be just the continuous and well-designed system. Then when we're talking about the digital infrastructures, actually things are changing because we have, again, two levels of them. So there's also always the physical one of the cables underground and so on. But the digital environment, the digital network can be affected much more simply than the regular city infrastructures like the water pipes or so. Because with the digital connection, you can adjust flexibly how to serve the user, what exactly he wants, what he needs. It's a super flexible system, and we need to find a way to use it in the best way for the final consumer. So cities are now having again the second wave or the third wave of Wi-Fi in the cities, because we're always hear these messages of the smart city, of the ubiquitous computing, and so on. Because the first installations of Wi-Fi in the city started like 8-7 years ago, when it just started to be something new, trendy, and important. But then we had only the portable computers. Now with the mobile era, with all the digital devices that we have with us all the time, there is a real need for these infrastructures. So in fact, also the Wi-Fi infrastructure brings not only the comfort of use, but in some cases it's used as a political power. For example, in the case of the Estonia, which is an independent state, it became quite important for them to establish this independency through the well-developed digital infrastructures, because they were afraid of the influence of Soviet Russia and how they can affect their infrastructure. So they just developed these super powerful, super amazing networks and all the digital services to establish this independency in their political life. On the same level, on the different level, but in the same way, using Wi-Fi for the different reasons. For example, New York City is using it to establish the digital leadership and promote the use of the services and cover the most important different levels and layers of citizens. So people who are usually considered digitally divided, they provide the services for them, and they see it as a very important thing to promote the city development. On the completely different scale, the place in New York, the small Bryant Park, attracts much more visitors since it got the Wi-Fi network installed, and it was one of the first public hotspots in the world. And so on all these different scales, we have Wi-Fi playing important roles in the spaces. So in general, to sum up, that infrastructure is growing, internet changes the social life, we need Wi-Fi to offload 3G, And we're living in this continuous world, which is bringing together the virtual elements together with online and physical elements. And the new infrastructures are completely flexible to be adjusted for the users. So what about Italy? Italy, if we talk about Europe, is much less developed in the digital services and consumption. And just actually since the 2013, it became legal to share Wi-Fi in public. Actually, now things are changing also after this thesis that it was also required from the commercial spaces above some limit of the square meters. They were even obliged to install the Wi-Fi networks and to provide the connection. But still, the things are a bit different and slower here. In Milan, if we're talking of the local scale, there are different Wi-Fi players. And for the moment of this thesis development, the main ones were the municipal open Wi-Fi network with the around 500 locations promised by them, and the Free Luna social Wi-Fi, which is a private sector player with the 85 newsstands around the city to use the service outdoors. So I've made this field research starting with the first-hand experience of the offer, which brought me to some hypotheses about the usages and the problems for the users. And then these insights were tested with the real users, and which led back to definition of the shape of the concept and the final offer. So to start the research, actually, I walked around the city quite a lot and looked at the completely different places around, finally focusing on 3 different ones with the various aspects, let's say. So there was the Piazza Argentina, which is a small space. It's a small square, but it's a transitional one connected very well to the transportation system, and with lots of people passing by, but staying there for a second, just eating lunch and so on. And it has the open Wi-Fi municipal service. On the contrary, Via Morgani, which is a boulevard with a lot of usage by the residents, by people who just stay there with the kids, go there for the dogs' playgrounds, stay there for the recreation, as it has trees and kind of they can find also open Wi-Fi, but not before. And then I also studied the use of the indoor public hotspot, which was quite popular, the Upcycle Cafe, which I've been observing quite a lot of people sitting there and working, which was quite unusual for Milan also at that moment. And so I tried to understand why is it happening and what are people doing there. So the hypothesis which got confirmed were that Wi-Fi service is not well designed, is underused. There are a lot of places where people just don't know that it exists, or they just use the paid 3G data plan instead of the skipping to Wi-Fi because it's too complicated for them. Then the different places are good for different usages. So if you stay in the public space, the transitional space, and you use it maybe for checking some transportation, checking news, staying there for some time and doing some simple stuff. On the contrary, in the more recreational space where you spend time longer, you can do some other stuff like watching a movie even. Well, some people, maybe not a movie, but videos on YouTube, people that were doing that. And in the other places, people also just use it for work. Then there's also, besides the spatial, there is the temporal difference. So during the day, the new network changes. Outdoors obviously changes as well. So people during the day spend more time when it's lunchtime or it's aperitivo time in Milan. And in the other hours, spaces got less used, and also the same happens to internet network. So, however, despite existing problems with the system, there are quite a lot of users which are spending hours outdoors using these existing services. So you can see completely different people, like the 30 years old Egyptian immigrant who is currently working, making pizza here, but has the university degree at home, and he stays in the Piazza Argentina just to connect to his friends and family and to watch some news and videos. or the professor, which stays there because he doesn't have electricity at home and he has to make some work. So I've met him several times just sitting there with his MacBook Air and doing his stuff. Or the homeless guys, which they claim that they're homeless, but you can see that they have smartphone, they have the notebook, and they say that they're searching for job on the internet instead of the normal ways to do it. Or also the journalists, which decided that why not enjoy the spring sun and take some break and work out of the office. So depending on the reasons why people came to the different places and their internet use, I've done quite like a table clustering different people using it. So people who do it because of the digital divide, that they don't have access to internet in the other places, people who were just killing time or fulfilling some special tasks, and also the use of the, let's say, the online services. So, for example, the functional use when you have to find something, Facebook and co, so socializing and so on. And basically, after all this clustering, I define these personas and types of the users, which can be, well, they are very general, let's say. It's hanger out, socializer, walker, traffic addicted, productivity seeker. So in fact, it's not that socializer cannot be also the traffic addicted. It depends on what exactly is he doing in the different situations. But what is important is that there are type of them which are kind of satisfied with the existing service, because they're the types that are spending quite a lot of time outdoors anyway, and they don't have, let's say, much money to use other services, to use 3G. So they're just staying there, and they not satisfied with the existing service, but at the same time being truly Wi-Fi audience. So for example, tourists who come to the city and they want to load some maps and they cannot access the Wi-Fi service because before the offer of Open Wi-Fi Milano was not letting strangers, the people coming with the different, how can I say, the SIM card of the different regions to register on the network. Then, for example, the workers which need to spend time between the meetings in the city, they also couldn't access the network because it was not so easy to use it, and so on. And in this case, it's quite important to understand that all these people have different needs and different resources to give. So one of them has more time, another one has more skill, another one has money. They need something like the time or skills or money or traffic. And this opens the possibility to the mutual exchange within the system to bring them together into one network. So we can understand that actually important thing in the equation now is the time issue, because the normal user scenario, user journey, when you start analyzing it, what happens with the people who try to use Wi-Fi in the city, they are wasting quite a lot of time on understanding how to do it, on the infrastructure and the interface problems, because they just cannot understand how to, like, why I'm not receiving messages because my phone suddenly connected to Wi-Fi, but I was not signed in. Then people just don't know that where Wi-Fi they can find, or when they can find Wi-Fi, suddenly they understand that there is no space to use it, like there is just a pole without any bench, and they just don't do anything with it. So in the end, I came to this equation basically of what is the good Wi-Fi service. It's a balance between usefulness and difficulty of access, because in fact, if you really need the service, even if it's difficult to access, you will find the way to use it. So if you're in an urgent situation, you will find a way. On the contrary, difficulty of access is based on the wrong locations, wrong environment, difficult authorization, and so on. And also these can be divided into 4 different points of the meaningful location, supportive environment, information about service, and usefulness of offer. And let's say that first 3, they are quite simple and understandable, that you need to put the nice benches which are comfortable, you need to put the well-made signs so people understand that there is the service there. But what is the usefulness of offer, which is basically the service design level exactly, it's quite a difficult thing to define. So if you start thinking about the Wi-Fi and internet service in general, there are some specific aspects of it to understand. There's a bandwidth, there is a traffic, there is access rules. So bandwidth is basically the width of the pipe which delivers you internet. So you can access it in a large pipe or small pipe, and depending on this, you get some specific amount in time. Traffic is how much of it you can get. So can you get a glass of it? Can you get a whole bath of it, or any other amount? And the access rules is how your provider defines how do you access it. So can you have a lot of bandwidth or a lot of traffic? Do you need to register? Do you need to do what? So if you look at the access rules and the offer of Open Wi-Fi Milano, it's actually much better than people usually think. Because if you sum up all that you can get, it's up to 2 gigabytes a day. And people usually just get to understand that it's 300 megabytes because the offer is already communicated in a messy way from the very beginning. Then we can understand that depending on the traffic restriction thing, on the bandwidth, there are different models. So one model is if you defined for each user which bandwidth you get. So you can get like 100 megabit per second, you can get 100 kilobit per second, and so on. And in this situation, when you have for example, when you have a lot of people, they can reach to all the limits of your facilities, but when there are not a lot of people, your facilities are underused. On the contrary, in the case of Open Wi-Fi, when there are a lot of people, the bandwidth gets shared between all of them. So in the different hours, you can get the different experience of the service because it's defined this way, and people sometimes don't understand also what is the inconsistency happening. However, what is the use seen by the users side? So what do they want actually? They basically don't care about the bandwidth, about the traffic, about the stuff like this. They just want to have fun, to be social, to get some information about the city, to load some stuff, or to work comfortably. And then just first defining these subjects, then we can put them in the terms of bandwidth versus traffic and understand what exactly is it. So if we have this amazing digital infrastructure, which can be flexibly defined for all the different people, why do we have to choose between one or another usage? Why cannot we just flexibly define them for all the different kinds of use? So you have fun, so you have some quotes for people who work, for people who download, who do some other different activities, and then you modify them depending on the needs of the time of the day and so on. And plus, when you get people engaged in the service, when you have people getting what they need and even diversifying this offer, you can also have them as engaged users. So you can build a platform where people give things to you, they give things to each other, and they get the different kinds of the service thanks to this. So Wi-Fi in this case becomes a general service platform, bringing together the things like public services, engaged users, and the resources being managed between them. So here we come to the part of the concept of Eterea, which is the urban Wi-Fi landscape, let's say. It is the best connection at the right time and the right place. So the users can get the best connection when they need. Other services become connected into the platform, which can promote their offers. And for the city, it becomes the tool to engage citizens and understand the planning of the infrastructure. The core of it is the 5 different offers, where you can get the most basic one offer, where you don't need to register at all. You just connect to internet, but you have a limit of the 100 megabytes to use. Then you have the basic connection service, which is the replication of the existing Open Wi-Fi service, but you don't have to connect and log in every time. You just do it once. And then there are some special services, which is 15 gigabyte per month, which is exactly the thing that Open Wi-Fi give you if you really use it, but you can decide how to use it. If you want to have fun and watch movies, if you want to work, if you want to download things, and then you can decide some different offers. So for example, the whole week with no usual daily traffic limit, and so you get speed up to 7 megabit per second and so on. So why do we have this diversified offer? Because we want to engage citizens also in participating in it. So you can understand that there are basic service which is provided to everyone, whatever they want and need. They just don't need to give you anything for it. If they want to have some special offers to get more traffic, to get more bandwidth, they can just subscribe for different kind of offers, which they get for the credits in the system. What about the credits in the system? They are of the different kinds. So you can engage with the platform, you can exchange some data, you can participate in partners' offers. Like, for example, if I open the platform, if I open the map of the city and I add a couple of photos of Piazza Argentina, which will help me to understand the locations of the space and how is it organized, I give to people some credits for it to improve my service. If they want to exchange their data, so they tell me how much they download, how much they use the service for different needs, also they can get credits for it, not like in just Facebook, which gets our data for anything without paying back. Then we have the 4 credits of the, if you want to download ebook, you download new app, basically it's the credits registered with the partnership offers. So for example, you can subscribe, I don't know, invent all the different kind of partnerships with the public service of transportation, with the libraries, with the different other private sector actors to just promote their services through the platform and get credits through it. So what is the idea of the different shapes? It is to make people understand that the basic offer is equal, let's say, 3, 4, or 2 different offers for other people. So if I use the basic offer, it's like 1 slot. If I want to use a service to just watch a video or work, I have to take 4 slots, which are equivalent for 4 people using it for basic offer. So this way people can understand that at some hours, when there's not enough space anymore, they can see it visually, that they have to just change their connection and use different offer because there are limits of the infrastructure. So in this way, every hotspot, this is the, for example, Piazza Argentina, and every hotspot you can see that people connected for the different services and offers are using it in a different ways now, and it changes during time. And it becomes also the map of the city of the usage of this Wi-Fi network. So what users see is basically the application. And once again, on the very basic level, when you just need some information, you can connect without any application, without anything. You don't need to log in to do anything. After, you have this home screen to register and to select your offer. And then you have the main one is the map of the city with all the location of the hotspots and real-time update of what is happening in the service. So here's the screen of one of the hotspots where you can see different things happening. You can see, for example, the timeline of how it will be in different times of the day, collected from the statistics of use. So you can understand that for this hotspot, I go when it's more free at 6 p.m. on the contrary. And you can see what exactly you can do there at what time. Then, as I was saying, that the physical level is very important. We bring also the level of, let's say, improved level of the Google Maps. Because now, if you go to Google Map, you can see some abstract shapes, but you lack some information about the city. So you don't know, do I have some water fountain there? Do I have the, I don't know, the public toilet there? Do I have some other services to connect to use while I'm using the Wi-Fi service? So in this case, this becomes a crowdsourced map where people can put all the details about each public space where Wi-Fi is used. Then there is a market, which is a place to get some different offers. For example, if you bring friends and work together, you can get 3 credits to participate in the system. If you edit the map of Piazza Lima, you also can get credits and so on. And you decide what exactly you want, what fits you better. Then there is an account where you can flexibly monitor your usage, so you can just see that during some weeks you use it for one usage, during other weeks you use it for another offer, and then you can understand what is better fitting you. Then there is also the connection with the physical spots in the city, so people can understand better the usage of it and the distribution of the service with the partnership offer, so you can see what can bring you different credits, and it becomes the platform which unites different levels in the city. And here is a bit of the video for the experience of it. Video. Not really? Yes. And so it shows the different users connecting for the different reasons. Our friend Matteo, what exactly is he doing in the square? Ragazzi, c'è il problema di là. Something happened. Cosa dice? Need help?
Cos'è? Mi sta andando tutto le mani. Cioè la mia faccia.
Now everybody can recognize it.
Sorry for the technical interruption. You see, the infrastructures are quite important. They have to work. Okay, then we have video, which is stuck. Okay, so in the end, to sum up, what does Eterea do to the city thanks to Wi-Fi? It is basically increasing the efficiency of the service, but also it provides the different options for the users. It seeks for the useful partnerships in the city, so connecting to the different services and networks and actors around. So stimulates new internet behavior, making people to do things differently in different places. It makes service more sustainable and bridges the gap between tech approach and user-centered design, because now you don't just say that this is the bandwidth which you have to use, but you can understand the people better and what exactly they want to do in the space. And then it also changes the outdoor spaces through their use, because you bring more people doing different things there. So it's a system which can be used on its own, can be independent platform, or it can work within the different networks. So it can collaborate with Open Wi-Fi Milano, with different actors. It can be within it. It can be a network which brings them all together. And basically, as you understand, the higher the level of its implementation, the more power it gets and the more people and partners get involved. So basically that's it. Eterea is done. And if you have some questions.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, we are not very used to think at Wi-Fi as a really concrete infrastructure. What about maybe the project of Nevicata 14? I wanted to ask you if Nevicata wanted to use some interactive devices to connect people among them there really in the public plaza.
Okay, so in the project of Nevicata 14, actually, I brought some experience gathered during my thesis and understanding of what people need to do in the space and why they need internet also for. And so we brought the same idea of the consistency and continuity of the different services, the physical one and digital one. And so we're developing some services for people to better use the space on various levels. So for example, the calendar of the events, which can be a digital tool to schedule things online, the ideas of having the booking system of the different spaces online. And we always speak about the continuous experience, in a sense that also being in the Nevicata physically present, you can always connect their special devices, which are the informational poles, to guide you to the digital level of this project. So you can connect to Wi-Fi, then you can proceed to the website, to the social media of Nevicata, and then you gathering the information from there, you come back to experience the service differently. So you sit there on the bench, you discover that at the other part of Nevicata, there's some event happening in 5 minutes. You just go there and the experience is exactly, then you go to that event, you discover you make some photos, you upload them to Twitter, it goes to Nevicata page and so on. And so it's a continuous experience there. And then actually next week, we're going to meet also Open Wi-Fi Milano to understand how to proceed with the, exactly, how to proceed. It's the Comune di Milano project for Wi-Fi, which is already present in the Nevicata, but we need to understand if we need to make it stronger, which are the limits of the service and so on. Yes.
I can maybe add some of Eterea, maybe.
Yes. It could be nice.
Okay. That's some questions, maybe.
Do we have some equivalent of this system in other countries?
Equivalent of the...
Like project...
Not really. No, actually not really. There are... let's say there are some elements of the service which can be seen in different ways. For example, for Eterea, we were thinking also about developing the inside of it, the portal, when you can access from Wi-Fi different services like the public library contents or movies online. These kind of things, they exist in the places like Moscow Metro, where you connect to Wi-Fi and then you go to the specific portal which brings you the content which you can enjoy during your travel. But these systems where you get Wi-Fi for some different engagement in the services, and no, they were not yet explored. And in general, the systems, they look very rigidly at the internet infrastructure, not really developing the usages of them this flexibly.
So if other countries don't have this project, we can apply it right? Yes. So do you do something to apply it?
Let's start applying it. No, well, Nevicata happened in my life, so I didn't start applying this service, but yes, let's proceed with it after.
What's about security? You know that we need to register ourselves for security reason, and here okay, and here we don't need to register ourselves, so it can.
You need to register once. This is the point.
Yeah, for info, right?
You need, like, in general, in the service, you register once, because the point which is under developing the usage of other services is that internet can always just recognize your device. So once you register to your device, it can know that you are the one that connected there. So you don't need to always have the same login procedure. So you just registered, it knows you, and then you proceed with it every time that you connect to the service. It works like this.
So I understood that it's a project, and now it's not time to go ahead, but your view on the future, like in 3 years, about the Wi-Fi and the city, and how to say, I would say now we have city 2.0, maybe it will be 2.5 or 3.0.
Well, yes, as actually you can see that, for example, Google is super interested in Wi-Fi infrastructures in the city, in internet infrastructure in general, because for all the players of the digital services market, it's super important to have people connecting to the internet. And if there are points when people don't connect, they lose money, they lose users, and so on. Now, if you think of all the digital devices like the watches, all the wearable technologies, and so on, we absolutely need the internet present everywhere all the time. Yes, the problem with Wi-Fi is that it doesn't go with you, it stays in the space. So Wi-Fi is very connected to the specific locality, and it empowers the new use, let's say, reuse of the space, that you come to the public space to stay together. So generally, of course, 3G is going to be the leading one for this wearable technology and so on. But Wi-Fi is the content-specific offer, and as people have to get more and more content, it's going to be also developing and empowering these local features of spaces, apparently, let's say.
Do you have something? What's about a healthy system and Wi-Fi? There is, some countries prohibit using Wi-Fi in school, in a hospital, yes, and other. I know maybe it's not so related to your project, but
no, just as a general use, we don't have information on that yet. The point is Wi-Fi. No, in general, Wi-Fi wasn't developed that long ago, so we don't have the long-term research on its real influence on the health and stuff. So unfortunately, there is no reliable data about that so far. Huh? Yes, it's free. It's well, let's say it's money free, but it involves some usage of your resources, of your time, of your skills, whatever you want to contribute to the service, you can do it. And otherwise, in other terms, you can buy the offers from the partner. So you can buy a magazine, and from magazine you get the Eterea code to be activated.
But you
so
can't buy
well, yeah, the idea was not to buy the credits with money. Yes.
Other questions?
So you didn't propose your project to do it now?
Not yet. We don't have them yet, so no, we didn't actually. Yes.
Okay. So thank you for your contribute.
Thank you for
And
inviting me.
Okay. Okay. See you next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.